I bet. Let's get it.
What it is. Y'all already know. Surprise live, big boss K Poe. We got Coach B right here, 2 cents in the background. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about a series of topics today. I said, let's just go live and talk about it, man. You know what I mean? The Bud versus Boots, the Boots versus Brian Normans, PBC releasing their lineup in the fall. You know what I mean? The big fish might be coming back. We're gonna talk about that, man. But Coach B, we always got to get your insight, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What
So
up, folks?
I want to talk about first this Brian Norman and Boots situation. Now, those of y'all who live under a rock, Brian Norman has publicly said he want to fight Boots. Boots has said he'll fight anybody, right? Um, Boots has also came out and said a contract was sent to Brian Norman, and they basically haven't heard back from him. That's what Boots said. That's what Boots people told him. Brian Norman said that's a lie. He said, "Man, we want to fight Boots," and he said, "Look, we accepted the fight. We just sent a counter offer, right?" So I think it's more of Eddie Hearn in them. Uh, was good 2 cents. I think
Yep.
it's more of
What's up?
I think it's more of Eddie Hearn doing his little promotion games, trying to make Boots look a certain way. Now, granted, Boots is like that. I ain't saying he ain't, but I'm just saying that I don't feel like Boots is getting told the 100% truth. So, Coach, we're gonna start with you. Then we're gonna segue to 2 cents. Do you believe that Brian Norman don't want to fight Jan Boots Ennis?
If I'm being 100% honest and I'm calling it down the middle like I normally do, I believe they both want to fight each other, but they want the terms and agreements to be, 100% in effect, and sided good for both teams, for both camps. So I wouldn't necessarily bring the duck into the situation yet because it's hard to speculate because we don't know exactly what go on behind the scenes with none of these fighters and how the contracts go. Certain things do come out to where it's like, okay, we're gonna put a duck label on this, but right now it's still kind of, I'm not gonna say early, but it's still in the works or whatnot. With whatever they got going, but I wouldn't put a duck on it. And I do believe that both of them want to fight each other because, like you mentioned earlier, Boots is like that. I don't see Boots running from no smoke, and I know Norman Jr. He trying to what I'm saying, continue doing what he do as well. So I think for both of them, this fight would be good regardless of you know who wins or who loses. Like I say, I've been big on getting those asterisks on people's resume, and like I say, it's just time for us as real boxing heads to start kicking and turning over tables to get the fights we need, the fights we deserve, especially if we're gonna pay our dollar, our hard earned dollar for it. So like I say, I wouldn't call it a duck. Whatever happened with the counter offer, I mean, it happened. If it did happen, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But at this point, I think fighters need to start fighting. And if this is the fight, the people want to see, this is the fight, that's supposedly being put out there. We need to stop letting these promoters and fighters go back on their word and take back these fights. We need to come together as a collective, casuals included, and start making these boys fight each other.
What you got 2 cents? What you think about Eddie Hearn? And we mainly talking about the Brian Norman and Boots Ennis. Do you feel like Eddie Hearn told Boots Ennis some stuff, or you feel like Boots, Boots don't want to fight Brian Norman and they pushing that narrative?
Well, what up, y'all? Can y'all hear me clearly? I'm in the car, so I don't know if I sound too clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, first I want to say, I hear what you're saying, Coach, but at the same time, I don't think nobody. First of all, let me say I don't think nobody is ducking nobody in this situation.
Right, right.
I do got my eye on Eddie Hearn, especially ever since Javante St. Davis made the statement that he was a snake in a suit. And I'm wondering, like, why is he a snake in the soup? What would make him say that? So I got my eye really on Eddie Hearn, and this right here is kind of raising one of those eyebrows. Like, what do you mean you didn't get the counter offer? What do you mean you told Boots that he turned down the fight when none of that was really true? And if Bozy and Norman Sr. wouldn't have got on the phone, we never would have known, if that communication ever really got cleared up. So I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I just kind of got my eye on Eddie Hearn. Maybe it was a miscommunication. We'll see. I don't know if this is a pattern of Eddie or if fighters have had issues with miscommunications in the past, but we'll see if it happens moving forward. But as far as the fight, I get it. We got two fighters. They want to fight each other. It's a fight that the fans perceive to be competitive, so it'll be a good fight. But let's just be honest. I've watched Ryan Norman. I've seen his last two performances. I honestly don't think that right now will be a good time to put him in there with Boots. I mean, if they want to fight, let's make the fight. I'm not saying, he don't need to fight him because he's not ready. I'm just saying that if these are the two that the public perceive to be the best in the division, why would they make the fight right now? And that's for the fighters and the promoters, because you want these fights to be as profitable and lucrative as possible. Let's let Brian Norman's 23. He's not even in his prime yet. He just got his belt. Let's let him get some title defenses. Let's see if he can get another belt and unify. And let's see if we could possibly get them together for a undisputed match, if that would be possible. That'll be a much bigger fight. That'll be a much more lucrative fight for both the fighters and the promoters, and it would just make a little bit more sense. Now, however, if they just feel like, hey, it is what it is, we just want to get in the ring and fight, it's a demand for the fight now, let's give the people what they want to see, they can do that also. But me personally, I don't think that the fight should happen just right at this moment.
Okay. So, since, Boots and Brian Norman, we all kind of saying the same thing to an extent. Then why is this Bud Crawford sitting here saying that? And yes, I'm finna get on Bud Crawford. I'm sorry. Why is Terrence Crawford making these excuses on not fighting Boots? I don't know if you've seen 2 Cents, that Timothy Bradley interview or segment with Pro Box TV, where he talked about how Terrence Crawford is doing to Boots what Errol Spence did to Boots. Now, to Bud. Now, I disagree with him saying Spence did anything to Terrence Crawford, because Errol Spence did nothing to Terrence Crawford but tell him the truth on what he was going to do. I honestly believe Errol wanted to fight Terrence Crawford earlier, but he followed the blueprint of his handlers. You know what I'm saying? So, but to get back into my question, why do you feel like Terrence Crawford don't want to fight Jambu Sanders? I mean, you hear them say, he get hit too much. I've never heard a fighter be concerned about somebody's safety, an opponent who want to fight you. It don't make sense to me. If somebody called me out and they want to fight me, I don't care about your well-being. We finna fight. You know what I mean? So, but that's just my stake. So, 2 Cents, what you think about that?
I just think that, Crawford has a game plan, and, his goal is to fight the fights with the least risk and the most reward. I really think that's what it is. I know he's calling out Canelo and saying that Canelo the only fight he won, but I don't really believe that. I kind of think he might be pump faking a little bit. But his whole agenda is the most money for the least risk. And I believe Boots could possibly be a risky fight for him. I'm not necessarily, I think Crawford could possibly be Boots. I don't see him just necessarily going.
Oh, did we lose?
Hello?
Yeah, you back. Yeah, cut out for a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know why I cut off that, but Crawford is up in age, and I just don't think he's willing to take that risk right now. At this point in his career, he's never really took risks, so I don't know why we believe that he would do it on the latter part of his career. So that's what I think it is.
Coach, what you got?
If I'm being honest, 2 cents took everything verbatim right out of my mention, right out of my mouth. Pause, no freaky. But at the same time, like just like 2 cents said, it's high risk, low reward at this point for Bud. And at this point, the way he moving, he definitely has an agenda. He has a fight plan. He has something he's trying to abide by. And again, like 2 cents said, it's about the bag for him right now. He know he way over the hill. He really only got so much time left, and I think his number one asset, as we mentioned before, like we always mention, is his IQ. And if you get in there with Boots IQ is up there. It's not up there with Bud, but at the same time, when you get in there with a guy who's just as athletic and as skilled, as sharp, he has a beard. And I'm talking about Boots. When you start bringing in the IQ factors, like at that point, what does Bud really have as an edge over Boots? And it's his IQ, but at the same time, IQ is only going to get you so far once you get in there with a guy like Boots. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, just like 2 Cents said, I think he got a plan and he gonna stick to it no matter what. And I do feel like he really wants to fight with Canelo, but I believe just like 2 Cents said, that's more like a fake out. That's more like let's get their attention over here while we set this up in the background, and then hopefully this will happen if that falls through.
I think that I think if Crawford wants to get the respect, right? Because he's respected as far as being pound for pound number one by pure boxing here. But if he want to get that casual side, he gonna have to take a fight like a Boots or anything like that. You get what I mean? Or fight somebody else at 54, Lubin, Charlo, something. But it seems like he got his eyes set on retirement, in my opinion. I feel like he already got one foot out the door. He just trying to cash out, like y'all both saying. He's just trying to cash out so he basically can sell off in the sunset. Because I think he wants that Canelo fight, not because he think he can beat him. I think he wants Canelo. Oh yeah, Virgil Ortiz too. I think he wants Canelo to basically sell off in the sunset, win or lose. Hey, I get my 10 million and I'm gone. You know what I mean? That's what I believe that Bud is trying to do. I don't believe that he really believes that he could beat Canelo, in my opinion. I think he want that check. You know what I mean? But I think because the Bud buddies, they hype him up as he can whoop everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, cool. If he wants to build his brand, which he should have been doing a long time ago. If you want to build his brand, then start fighting these other dudes at 154. You know what I mean? There's other fights, there are other big fights at 154 pounds. I mentioned Charlo, I mentioned Exxon Lubin. You could get those fights that will get you the respect. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Errol finna fight Fundora. If Errol don't beat Fundora, that's another fight that you can possibly have. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of big fights at 54 that he can make a name for himself, but he trying to skip lines and jump weight classes, like it's a video game. And like I say, man, in my opinion, I felt like, he saw that 154 is real. He felt that power, and that's kind of why he kind of changed his angle. Because I don't know if y'all remember, he was talking about he want to become undisputed at 54. Now he talking about, I want to, I only want the Canelo fight. That's the only fight I want. But what happened to undisputed? You said you wanted to be undisputed at 154 pounds, and you believe you could do it. You said 3-time undisputed. So I felt like he felt that power at 54 with a guy like Madrimov, and he like, man, I know if I fight these other dudes in here, it's gonna be rough. So let me just try to push for this Canelo fight and see if he can deliver. Flawless, man. Shout out to you, brother. You're always supporting the channel, man. Y'all go over there, man. He be spinning them gems over there. You know what I mean?
It's like, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now would be the time I know everybody was excited about Crawford coming to 54 because now will be the time for us to finally see those competitive fights or the fights that we perceive to be competitive. And I was like, oh, well, if I can't get Canelo, I'm going to retire. So I hear what you're saying. Like, he's never done it throughout his career. And I was saying it like, why would he do it now? I mean, he's just not going to.
That's
I would
right.
love to see him fight Charlo. I would love to see him fight Pandora. They was talking about, like, I would love to see him fight any of them. Like, let's see what's up. Like, let's get it. It's a Madrimov fight, which nobody really knew who that was. He only had like 10, 11 fights. And now you're talking about retirement. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, Crawford's an opportunist. So if he sees an opportunity to maybe catch one of these guys off or something going on with him, or maybe there's an easier route he sees to undisputed at 54, he may take that. But other than that, I do believe he will retire.
Yeah, I think that might be the best option for him because if he fight anybody at 154, I think, man, mainly Charlo. Call me biased, I don't care. That particular fight to me is a dangerous fight for him. I know that a lot of people look at Terence Crawford. He is great, but you got a guy named Ace kind of tripping. You got a guy in Charlo who can box, right? Under Ronnie Shields, he was a boxer. He got Derek James and he taught him the art of, kind of sitting on his punches a little bit. So he dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's a dangerous fight for Bud. But like you said, 2 cents. I mean, you hit it on the head. Bud is, I think he should just retire. He got his eyes set on retirement. Dave said, I think Bud should fight Beaver. I better be with him. Dave, crazy. Nah, Dave don't like Terence Crawford. Let's segue off to this next one, man. So I don't know, 2 cents, you seen the news. PBC wrote out their fall schedule. They got Tim Tszyu fighting in October against, I don't know how to say his name, Murtalev. They got Gervonta Tank Davis, November 2nd. No opponent. And then they got the big fish, Errol Spence, coming back December 2024. So, 2, I'm going to ask you this. That Errol Spence fight against Fundora, right? I know we all have kind of touched on it a little bit, but how you feel about that? And do you believe Errol Spence should take something like that? I mean, pause. That sounds crazy. But do you believe he should take something like that? That particular fight, especially, let's remind, he coming off that loss. He's coming off an injury. He's coming, he don't have a coach, right? So do you feel like that's
I think it's I'm be honest with you, the longer Spence sits out, the less desire I have to see him fight. For the simple fact, like, dude, like, same mistake. Like, you're gonna continue, you're gonna make the same repeated mistake. You're gonna fight a tough opponent off a long layoff, no tune up, no coach to add to that. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, if Earl want to do it, Earl want to do it. But I'm like, damn, like, you probably should just retire too, because you're not putting yourself in a good position to win, right? Like, Earl, I don't think he's putting himself in the best position. Like, he's not young Earl no more. There's so many question marks from the last fight and his last performance and what's been going on with him. You've lost your coach, so you're gonna be coming with a new coach, and it almost doesn't make sense for him to take that fight, or even for him to keep fighting for that matter, especially if he's gonna keep the mentality of I don't take no tune-ups. So if you're just gonna continue to move through your career with long layoffs and tough fights, like that shit just not gonna work no more, Earl. Like, it's really not. But if that's what Earl want to do, that's what Earl want to do. We'll just wait for the next fight and see where he at. But yeah, it's very big question mark in my mind.
All right, Pay the fool. What you got, man?
What's going on with you? What's up, 2 Cent?
What up, Paige?
What's going on? Salute to the panel. I'm just
What
tapping in to cook with y'all. I heard a little bit of it. What's the topics we cooking on?
Well, we just talked about Bud versus Boots, Boots versus Brian Norman. Now we're talking about Errol Spence. He come back according to the PBC schedule, December 2024. I guess
Man,
fine.
For Earl, man, I don't want to see him go out on no loss, bro. I mean, he already took one, but I mean, you lost to arguably a generational talent that we got right now. So, far as that, I don't know, man. I just think he been out of the ring too long. He got too many issues going on with the coaching situation. Like I heard 2 Cent cooking on it just a second ago. I agree with like pretty much everything she said. I don't want to see if he want to do it. That's up to him, but I just don't see no need for it. He got his promotional thing going on, so it ain't like he in dire need of money or nothing like that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
What you got, Coach?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm in agreement with everything everybody done said so far. The biggest thing is if you're gonna be, if you're gonna continue to, like Two Cents said, take these top tier fights, the best thing for you to be is active, which requires Spence to take a tune-up fight. And if he's not gonna take a tune-up fight and not see where you at against somebody, don't matter who at this point, and you're gonna skip the ladder and you just go to the top and get in there with somebody like, a Fundora. Granted, Fundora is still trying to come into his own, but let's be honest, he's 6'6", 6'7". That's not an easy fight for nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And if we got even if we had the elite Earl, cool, Styles make fights. That would be, a good matchup for Earl because we seen what happened with the fight against Tim Zoo and Fundora. Zoo was doing his thing until he got caught with the elbow. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I think Zoo was gonna walk to a victory, but he got caught with the elbow, and then Fundora slowly started figuring out how to use that jab. Why? Because his nose was broke. But if Spence walked into a fight with Fundora, who didn't learn how to use his jab, he didn't learn how to utilize his length, he didn't learn how to move a little bit better, then just like Two Cents said, it's gonna be just like everybody said, it's gonna be a bad rap and a bad L for him to go out on. So retirement at this point with the inactivity, with all the question marks and everything surrounding Earl, might be the best option.
yeah, I agree.
I think Errol Spence, the reason why he's continuing to fight is pride.
Yeah.
I think Errol, the type of dude that, and just based off his actions, he's the type of dude that's like, all right, yeah, I took that loss, but I'm still me. And I think he's still out there trying to prove that he's still him. And at the end of the day, ain't nobody do what that man was doing, bro. And what I mean by that is no tune-ups, coming off layoffs. Now, was it smart? No. But who do you know come fly out a car, come back, and then fight Danny Garcia, right? A Danny Garcia who was considered a tough fight, a fight that Keith Thurman barely won, a fight that Sean Porter barely won. And then anybody else underneath that, Danny Garcia stepped on.
Right.
So then you got an Errol, he coming off of that, and you fighting Danny Garcia? And he made Danny Garcia look,
Like
that's
an
the worst.
amateur. Yeah.
That's the worst I've seen Danny Garcia look in his career. He beat
Right.
the doors off of that, and he wasn't even 100%.
Yeah.
So just imagine if the 100% Errol Spence was in that ring, he probably would have stopped him.
Right.
Right. So when it comes down to, this era, I feel like he fighting off pride at this point. And I'm agreeing with you, paid in full. Like, man, I don't want to see him go out like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather Errol just kind of, go off in the sunset. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Part of me want to see, and me and Coach talked about this. Part of me want to see that Bud Crawford again. I'm not gonna lie, 54. Right? Now you got some people that feel like it's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
Bud just got his number, but it's different at 54. And you seeing how Bud felt them punches at that weight. He kind of hit. He got his in, but there was spurts where he kept his hands in his pockets more at this weight. At 47, Bud stepping. But at 54, I saw him kind of keep his hands in his pocket in situations that he normally wouldn't do that in. So, part of me like, I would love to see this fight again at 54 and just see how it looks. Bud may do the same thing, but John, Dave, crazy. Bud may do the same thing, but at the end of the day, there's a small part of me that's like, man, I want to see that. But Errol Spence taking this Fundora fight, man, is, in a sense, I respect it, but then in a sense, it's stupid. Like I said, I agree with 2 cents. He's made a lot of unwise decisions. You know what I mean? And when it comes down to him in his matchup, it's like, I don't know if this is a winnable fight for him. I don't know if he's gonna be able to. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get over the hump.
I think if he get on the inside of Fundora, I think that'll be his best chance. Because obviously staying on the outside, you got to deal with his long ass reach. So you have to find a way to get inside.
But who you think would be a good coach for Errol?
Somebody that fits his style. Like I don't want nobody like. Obviously, he like a start off body puncher or whatever. So I don't want nobody to try to change him into no defensive wizard or something that he wasn't been doing all his career. But I think they need to fix that situation, man. I think with him and Derrick James, I feel like he let Ryan talk him into some bullshit that's not even gonna end well for the situation. So I think they need to work that shit out. If whatever it is, if it's money, man, because you've been with this man your whole career, he got your number, everything. So
yeah,
that's a sticky situation.
I think he should go with Kenny Porter. Kenny Porter knows him. He's worked with Kenny before. I think that might be a pretty good fit.
That's a great point, 2 cents. I didn't even think about Kenny. That's a great point.
Yeah, to Kenny Porter or Barry Hunter. Barry Hunter worked with Errol too in the amateur.
He need to blame Blu-ray back as well, I think.
Oh, facts.
Because I feel like his body ain't been looking how it used to look when he was working with Blu-ray, and I feel like a lot of fighters feel like once they get to a certain point, they feel like they don't got to put in the same work that they was putting in as they was when they was coming up, when the ground was like there. So
Blu-ray too. First of all, salute everybody. Salute to your platform, boss. So Blu-ray already said what it was with Errol Spence. He said that Errol Spence don't really listen. He said that he could have had Errol Spence way further than he had Errol Spence every time they went out, but Errol Spence don't want to do certain things. And when you got somebody that's training you, you got to learn how to lean on their understanding more than your own. Because I even remember like the fight that Errol Spence had with Terrence Crawford, right? When they was leading up to the fight, they had, how they show Errol Spence getting ready to train with Derrick James, and they were saying how Derrick James keeps his gym hot. They keep it hot, it builds mental fortitude. But the first thing you show them doing with Errol Spence is opening up the gym door because it's too hot. And then they going to work out outside. And that's a Errol Spence thing. Like, he don't want to do certain things. You know what I mean? Like, I work out a lot. I see Boss Hogg hitting the bag. He be working out a lot. Sometimes when you training with somebody, you got to do what they tell you to do because they know how to get you up. They know that part of it better.
Yeah.
And then I'll say this because I don't want to take over the show. You got to remember too, when he fought Kell Brooks, he was like in his prime. That was like the best. After that, he started partying a little bit more. The money started coming, and it's hard to really want to get up and train like you trained before. Like the type of mindset you got to have to train with somebody like Blu-ray, because he trained under the tutelage of them Harlem Boys. I'm from New York. I know about them Harlem Boys. I'm a bartender myself. Pull-ups, you understand? Dips, that type of workout and shit that they do. So when you under their tutelage, they go extremely hard. And like he said, his goal, he was trying to make Errol Spence indestructible. When you drinking and you drugging and you partying, you don't always feel like doing the most.
Yeah.
And you know, and so I'm sorry that was long-winded, but you know, I just wanted to say that. And then Boss Hall, come on, you capping on Terrence Crawford at the 154 thing, man. But I ain't gonna get into it. I'm gonna let you lead the way on that. But you know, I had to come in when I heard you say that. I said, oh nah.
What up, capping out, Tuff?
Listen, this is the thing. Terrence Crawford, right? His performance with Madrimov, I admit it was a hard fight. It wasn't a bad performance. It was a hard performance. A lot of people don't understand. While Madrimov only got a few fights professionally, that win is going to age very well when he fights the other top contenders, if they even get in the ring with him. The reason why Terrence Crawford didn't look like Terrence Crawford is because, again, like we've been saying the whole lead up to the fight, he's in there with somebody that's athletically superior to him, because this person has a background in not only wrestling, but judo as well and gymnastics. So he built from the feet up, just like Terrence Crawford. If you notice, Terrence Crawford couldn't push him back. You know, the only time he was fighting off the back foot is when he got tired, because he's not used to fighting 12 rounders. He only fought like 1 12-rounder. So once Terrence Crawford got him into that 10th round, that 11th round, that's when Crawford was able to step it up. But prior to that, it was dangerous for both of them to let their hands go. Terrence Crawford's kryptonite was always the same thing that Mean Machine showed y'all what it was. Errol Spence don't have it. All of his other opponents didn't have it, because Errol Spence is too aggressive. When you're aggressive, you give Terrence Crawford the opportunity to open up and let his punches go. But when you don't give him nothing, like Mean Machine, if you notice, Mean Machine, one of the tactics that he used, similar to Madrimov, was that he wasn't throwing a lot of punches. So Terrence Crawford had to initiate the offense to open him up. And in doing so, he's more open to getting counted and hit, because he likes to be the counter puncher. So Madrimov, you can't push him back. You can't bully him around. He hit just as hard as you. He can take your punch. You understand? So the best opportunity you had, Terrence Crawford had, was to gas him out and step it up at the end of the fight. But that's why he sat down on his punches, not because he was scared to get knocked out. Sometimes you just got to fight strategic.
I feel like weight played a part as well, though.
But
you think so?
But that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying he was afraid. I'm saying in the sense of that weight.
Yeah.
His power didn't translate up to that weight.
Yeah.
But you don't think so?
No,
the glove situation, though. He didn't have his gloves. He had on, those he didn't have the Everlast gloves on. I think he had on those Grant gloves.
And I wonder about that shit. How the fuck is his gloves keep busting? I really want to know.
I mean, I got, and you've boxed before. I got many different variations of gloves. I fought in many different gloves. If you got power, you got power. You know what I mean?
So but you come on now. If you box before, that gloves make a difference. There's gloves that you could wear when you spar that you ain't gonna do no type of damage. Like, I think you even made that point not too long ago on one of your own videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain gloves, all I'm saying is this: even if his power didn't carry up, like his power carried up, but I don't think it's gonna be as strong as it was at 147, but that's natural. So I'm not saying he's going to be this big knockout artist at 154. His power carried up because Madrimov was keeping his hands in his damn pockets. If his power didn't carry up, he would have just been trying to walk Terrence Crawford down. But that boy, especially when he was getting pieced up at the end and he had to grab Terrence Crawford to hold on to Terrence Crawford, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they wasn't feeling his power. But I believe Terrence Crawford going to be okay. Do I want to see him fight Canelo? Yeah. You know why? Because he only got about a couple more fights left. And I get that he should fight Boots, like the title. I get that he should fight Boots. But here's the problem with fighting Boots, right? Number one, Boots don't even know what he want to do. There's now Brian Norman Jr. is and him arguing back and forth. They in the same division. That should be a fight that should be easy for them to make, right? But he wants to fight Terrence Crawford. If you want to fight Terrence Crawford, move up to 154. Stop playing around. Move up to 154. Fight somebody up in 154 to let them know you ready for Crawford. That way, don't say that you're trying to be undisputed at 147 and have everybody out here trying to say you want to fight Crawford when you was in position to fight Crawford in the past. You turned that down. just like Virgil Ortiz turned it down.
Oh man, we ain't doing that. We not
So
doing
wait,
that.
let me
We
ask you a
did.
question. With that
They
logic, why
chose
Crawford don't gotta move up to 168 and fight somebody and do that for Canelo?
Crawford should move up to 168 if he want to fight Canelo. If Crawford wants to fight Canelo at a catch weight, let him keep his ass at 154. I'm not being biased. I'm a Crawford fan, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If
Right.
Crawford want to fight at 168, if he wants to fight Canelo, I'm expecting Crawford to move up to 168 and do it. Now, am I expecting Crawford to knock Canelo out? No. Am I expecting Crawford to beat Canelo? I think that the burden of proof is on Crawford. But is it impossible? No. I just don't think Canelo is that skilled. I'm sorry, I never did.
But the weight, that's more of the problem. Shit,
Yeah,
if
you're right. You're right.
his power going to translate up to 168 if it's like that at 154. Like that's the issue. Because them
Listen,
boys been up there for a minute, they can take them punches, but for a person that's never been to that weight class and you just jumping up, like I said, no different than Jermell Charlo. He was able to, the shit that he was hitting people with at 154, he was able to knock them out. But when you go up in weight, bro, them punches don't hit the same, bro. So he's seeing the punches that he landed on Canelo and they not having no effect on him. Shit, it's like, what else can I do at this point? Shit.
I believe that Charlo in that fight got discouraged because
Yeah.
he was hitting Canelo with stuff that he dropped dudes at 54 with, and Canelo was eating them. So, and my thing with Crawford in the Canelo fight is this: I'm cool with him wanting that fight and getting it, but my thing is I don't think he wants that fight because he genuinely felt like he can beat Canelo. Like I feel like Charlo felt like.
does it matter?
As a fight fan, I mean, from him, no, it don't matter from him, from his perspective.
No, as a fight fan.
As a fight fan, I'm gonna say it kind of does in a sense because you skipping the line and you just trying to say, "Hey, I got two ESPYs, I got this, I deserve a Canelo fight," and it's like, no, go to 68, fight a couple of them dudes up there, and earn a Canelo fight.
So
Go fight Caleb Plant. Go fight David Benavidez or David Morrell or one of them, and beat them, and then get a Canelo fight. You got David Benavidez, who is basically getting denied a Canelo fight because Canelo don't feel like fighting him.
right.
So I look at it like in the sense of if Bud is able to jump the line, I feel like that's going to do a disservice to the sanctioning bodies in boxing. Because why do we have sanctioning bodies? Why do we have a ranking system? Why you got guys like I'll use Jamal Charlo when he was at 160, right? With Triple G and Canelo. He followed the guidelines of boxing. He still ain't got those fights. But then you got a dude like Terrence Crawford who can just skip the line and you know what I mean? That
Okay.
I feel like that's gonna mess up boxing, in my opinion.
So let me add to the and this is the one thing that I use to kill that narrative, right? This is the one thing I use to kill the narrative that Crawford shouldn't fight because he's jumping the line or things like that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, right, prior to the Crawford and Errol Spence fight, right, there was a 3-fight deal that the PBC was signing Canelo. He was supposed to fight, I believe it was initially at that time, it was supposed to be Jamal Charlo. They was talking and acting like it was supposed to be David Benavidez, and Errol Spence Jr. was supposed to be the 3-fight deal. Everybody remember that, right quick?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're on the same point. Okay. Now, at no point did anybody ever say that Errol Spence Jr. is jumping the line. At no point did anybody ever say that Errol Spence Jr. should not be fighting Canelo because he's too small and he's never fought at 168 before, right? So now my thing is this. Am I saying that, well, because Errol, y'all wasn't saying Errol Spence. My thing is this. If you believe that at one time that Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez was a reasonable fight, then why isn't Terrence Crawford and Canelo a reasonable fight? And not to mention, Canelo was going to fight Errol Spence at a catch weight.
Let me respond to that.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, they had already kind of been building that Canelo Spence fight. which is why he was on the contract anyway. That's one. Two, Errol Spence is bigger than Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence is on his first weight class at 47, and Terrence Crawford is on his third weight class?
Right.
I mean his fourth weight class at 54. So there's a difference there. And on top of that, I guarantee you, after people would have seen that Charlo fight, the sentiment would have changed for seeing a Spence and Canelo fight, because I guess we didn't realize how much the weight classes really meant until we seen what happened with Charlo. So that sentiment would have changed. What you're saying now was before we even witnessed the Charlo fight. So that sentiment would have changed. So I think the difference is the sizes of Crawford and Spence, because Spence is on his first weight class, would have been on his second weight class at 54, and Crawford's on his fourth weight class at 54, and we had not seen the Charlo fight yet. So that's the big difference in why the sentiment was that. And Canelo being willing to fight Spence at a catch weight, that could be due to money or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to do that for Crawford.
Right. Even though he was going to make $110 million, which is more money than he would have made to fight that 3-fight deal.
We don't know if he really would have made $110 million.
They offered him 110. They offered him $110 million. Turki Al-Sheikh said he turned it down. He came back and asked for 150.
Well, what if he could make $150 million fighting Jake Paul?
I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't. Look, if anybody can make $100 million, please, by all means, do it. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, to say that it's justifiable that Spence would, you know, when it was justifiable.
But that was before we seen the Charlo fight.
Okay, even before the Charlo, you saw Canelo versus Amir Khan, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Amir Khan got zero chin.
Yeah,
right. But see, what I'm saying is he was still a lot smaller, right? Like Canelo is you forgetting Canelo used to fight at 154. He's coming from 154, so 168 ain't even his natural weight class. He's really naturally he should be at 160.
Yeah,
but I mean, and then it wasn't until after the Khan fight he went up to 175 to fight Bivol. Like all of that stuff got to be taken into consideration.
No. Okay, we got our timelines a little mixed up. But what I will tell you is this: he ran out of 154 because he didn't want to fight the smoke that was there. He ran out of 160 because he didn't want to fight the smoke that was there. You know, Andrade and Jamar Charlo, and then he went up to 160. You know, to fight the lesser opposition. You know what I'm saying? And Billy, you know, and all of them. So he's not really like a natural 168. That's why he's not fighting natural 168 pounders. That's why he won't fight David Benavidez and David Morrell. He's bringing everybody up in weight because he don't belong in that weight division.
Yeah. I mean, you spitting some truth. But I think once you fight at a certain weight class and you get that kind of punch resistance, you typically are used to, you know, fighting bigger guys. So if Terrence Crawford was to move up, I don't believe that he'll be able to be as, you know, he'll be more defensive. I'll say that
for sure.
He move up to that weight class. But to segue back, when that fight was being offered, Canelo, I believe, hasn't fought at 68 at that time. Yeah, I think he was about to go to 68. But I don't feel like he was at 60. He was at 60 at that time.
No, he was there because he was going to fight David Benavidez. David Benavidez, it was rumored to be one of the 3 fights.
Oh, you're right. That was okay, yeah.
But I want to touch on also the Sebastian Fundora situation. I think if Spence was to fight Sebastian Fundora right now, I think he would lose. Now, normally I don't think Spence would lose to Sebastian Fundora. I feel like after the Terrence Crawford fight, had he not gotten to issues with Derek James and that not been a thing, and he was able to regain focus, we would have saw him get refocused back on his purpose, like without the dream, like because now he would have had a fire under his ass. I was looking forward to the rematch, even at 154. But if he fights Sebastian Fundora, he's gonna get whooped on. And the reason why he's gonna get whooped on is because number one, he's not even really focused on the game right now. Okay, number one, he has no trainer. Right, and he's gonna not take a tune-up, fight Sebastian Fundora with a trainer that he's using for the first time. Blu-ray is not in his corner, from what we understand. right? I think that was one of the best strength conditioning coaches he could have had. If you ask me, I think the best trainer for Errol Spence style, right? Even though Kenny Porter knows him, is Robert Garcia. That's the best person. That's the best because Errol Spence has sort of a Mexican, crowd friendly style, come forward, high pressure style, and Robert Garcia teaches that style. And you see what he did with Bam. He also can teach you how to be defensive with it as well.
I think the Errol Spence fight, how he fight, that's Derrick James teaching. And
yeah,
I believe Errol Spence been with Derrick James so long, you know what I mean? That's how he's been constructed and grown as a fighter to fight. So, Errol Spence, he's 34 years old. So, you can't teach new tricks. But I do like the Robert Garcia thing, but he needs somebody that can reach him, right? He needs somebody that's going, because, you pointed out that Errol Spence want to do what he want to do.
that's true. That's true.
As you can see, he doing what he want to do, right? He finna go. Yeah. He coming off this loss to Crawford. He's coming off an injury, and he's fighting a tough fight, Sebastian Fundora, right? So he doing what he want to do. So he needs somebody that's going to check him. And the only two people I can see that's going to get in his face and let him know this what we finna do is Kenny Porter and Barry Hunter. Those are the only two guys that's like drill sergeant. That's like, nah, this what we doing. You saw what happened to you the last time, so this what we gonna do. He needs somebody that's gonna be able to live with what he is, but just fine tune him and come up with better game plans. That's it. Because I feel like in the Terrence Crawford fight, truthfully, it was game planning. That's what I feel. I feel like he lost that fight because Derrick James underestimated Bo Mack and Terrence Crawford. That's what I believe. That's what I personally believe. It was game planning. Crawford and them had an excellent game plan. Errol Spence and them did not have a game plan. That's just simply how I put it. It was just game planning.
Okay.
So I feel like Errol Spence needs a coach in his corner that's going to basically tell him, nah, this is what we finna do. You saw what happened to you. You saw this happen to you. So this is what we need to do moving forward.
I think if you look at Errol Spence style, I don't think it beats Crawford ever because styles make fights, right? Like if you look at Sean Porter and his fight with Errol Spence, and then you look at Sean Porter and his fight with Terrence Crawford. Sean Porter has the ability, and he's shown it in other fights before, he will adjust to the fighter. That's why they used to say that he can fight when you want to, take a break. They say he'll box when you want to brawl, and he'll brawl when you want to box. That's what they used to say about him, because he caters to his. He don't cater to his opponent. He adjusts to his opponent. When he fought Errol Spence, it was more like back and forth, like pressure for pressure, the rock'em sock'em style type of fight. Whereas when he fought Terrence Crawford, it was more like he boxed more than he did just rushing in and everything like that. With Terrence Crawford, the more offense you use, the more rock'em sock'em you are, the better it is for him, because everything for him is counter punching. Any fight that he can just be the counter puncher, like anybody that's super aggressive, he loves that style of fight. Now, Errol Spence doesn't have the patience. Before the Errol Spence fight, right? I did a breakdown on the 10 things the 10 reasons why Errol Spence was gonna lose, and then I did another video of the 10 concerns we had as Terrence Crawford fans. I keep it unbiased. Now, on my Errol Spence video where I said the 10 reasons why he would lose was pretty much why he lost. And that was it's not because I don't like him. He has a bad style. It's that, number one, he's not living a disciplined lifestyle. So his reflexes and everything is not going to be what it was. And number two, he's so super aggressive that Terrence Crawford is going to capitalize on every mistake. Anytime he falls in, he's going to get counted. Anytime he takes too long to bring his hands back and his head back over his feet, he's going to get caught with all of that. So I saw that mistake. He makes it in a lot of his fights, and you can't get away with it with Terence Crawford. Now, somebody like Madrimov, when you think about it, Terence Crawford really beat the Bivol style, because that was Bivol's footwork in there. That's who Madrimov's trained with. You know, that's his stablemate. That Bivol style of feinting and footwork and everything like that. You need that type of style and patience to beat Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford obviously respected Madrimov. I'm gonna give you that as well. He did respect that power because he took a couple punches, but he wasn't trying to just like, you know, knock the dude out.
I think the power kind of bothered him a little bit.
Yeah,
I feel like
I just feel like he felt it more.
Yeah, he definitely felt that power up there, and that's why I said I feel like at most I would have been cool with a draw in that matchup.
Oh nah.
I didn't see a separation.
I saw it. I looked at the fight numerous times. I could tell you when the separation was. I could tell you when the separation was, but I'm gonna let you cook.
I didn't see a separation. I saw Crawford in the later rounds did some good work, letting off combinations. I feel like they both kind of hurt each other in the matchup. But I felt like at most it was a draw. I didn't feel like Crawford did enough to basically get his hand raised, especially a unanimous decision. Like they was just like 8-4 or something like that. Crawford. I was like, I don't see 8 rounds. I don't see 8 rounds that Crawford won. Now, you know, it's all like I say, we all can look at a picture and get, you know, a different opinion about it. But
right.
From what I saw, you know, there were some rounds Crawford had his hands in his pockets. There were definitely rounds Madrimov had hands in his pockets. But that right was landing that wheel in those rounds that Madrimov was winning, right? He was definitely frustrating Crawford with the awkwardness in the footwork and all that. And Crawford didn't know what to do. Crawford couldn't counter him because of the awkwardness. You know, in the footwork. I'm not saying the whole fight, but I'm saying there were certain rounds that Crawford couldn't really figure out Madrimov because of how awkward he is.
No, you're right. Listen, I say it like this, right? The fight was definitely close. Like, I don't think that it was like Sean Porter said, where Terence Crawford was washing it. At first, when I was watching the fight, I'm thinking Terence Crawford is washing him, right? Because he's not really doing much, but the commentary was throwing me off because they was on some ish that day. You know what I mean? I don't know what they was talking about, but when I went back and I watched it, which is what I'll do, I throw on my favorite tunes or whatever, and I watched the fight with no commentary. And I'm seeing what's going on. So Madrimov wasn't catching him with the right hand at will. When you think about it, that's the only hand Terence Crawford left him to land, because Terence Crawford came out in the southpaw stance. Everybody wanted him to switch to orthodox, but he took one of Madrimov's best punches away, which was the left hand to the body. Now, as far as it being a close fight, I had if like the scorecards that what's his name had when he had Madrimov up by 1 point going into the 10th round. You remember that?
Yeah.
I could understand that. I didn't have that. Okay. I had it like even at that point, or maybe leaning towards Crawford, but I wasn't mad at that because we had 3 rounds and I'm saying, okay, these are the championship rounds. Now we got to get the separation. So the separation that you was looking for, I felt like I saw it from Terence Crawford in the 11th and 12th round because he's the one that picked up the offense. Meanwhile, Madrimov, even though he was trying, he was missing a lot. He was doing a lot of feinting and everything, but he still wasn't letting his hands go. His own corner was telling him, bro, let your hands go. And so the way I see it is you're a champion. You're a champion, so you're supposed to shine in the championship rounds. Now, I understand why he didn't. He didn't have the experience. He only fought 1 12-round fight prior to that. So by the time he got to the 10th, 11th round, he was spent, which is why he slowed down enough for Crawford to pick up his offense. That's just what it is. When if you look at Madrimov in that 11th round, he's breathing out of his nose. Every time he resets, he takes a deep breath because he ain't used to fighting at that, especially that fast and that aggressive. When you see him in his other fights, he's usually more offensive, but he doesn't move as much. So he was tired, and Crawford was able to capitalize on those last 2 rounds. And for me, Crawford won those last 2 rounds, and that's what gave him the fight. But it by no means was I didn't feel it was a robbery, and I didn't feel like it was a draw. If it was a draw, I would have got upset based on what Terrence Crawford did in those last 2 rounds.
Anybody got anything else to respond to that, or y'all good with it?
No, I'm cool with it. I mean,
That's cool. That's cool. That was a good little breakdown.
I be running my mouth. I thought I put him to sleep for a minute. I'm like, oh my god.
Nah, Tough. You definitely the only Crawford fan that is unbiased. You know.
Oh no, yeah, I like to have fun with it, man.
Yeah.
You know.
His fan base be delusional as hell.
But we say that about we got some delusional Crawford fans, right? And we got some delusional Errol Spence fans and every other kind of fan of boxing. You know, some of us do take it a little extreme, like those of us that think he's gonna knock out Canelo. I be having to tell him, look, I don't think that's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's gonna happen. But that's just boxing, man. That's boxing.
I got one of my homeboys in here right now, Jay Will. He think Terrence Crawford gonna sleep Canelo.
Oh man.
Yo, Jay Will in here.
So Jay Will, you think he gonna sleep Canelo?
He said he gonna sleep him, man.
I don't know, man. I don't see that because Canelo got one of them chins. Ain't nobody ever knock him down. Ain't nobody ever sleep him. He done fought some bigger dudes. So if Terrence do that, man, I gotta give it to him. But I don't see it.
If Terrence Crawford knock out Canelo, I'm not gonna lie. He owns something. I'm not.
I can't even see it though. I'm not even lying. I can't even see it. You know.
If he
But
knock Canelo, he owns
I was
something.
gonna ask y'all something. Just totally off topic of what we were talking about. But bro, how y'all feel about what Floyd pulled last night? As far as him pulling that ref out the ring.
Oh, Mayweather. I mean, he funding the whole thing, so he can.
I didn't see it. I don't watch stuff like that. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. But I was watching Willie D, right? One of my favorite content creators, and he said that Floyd fired dude, the ref, in the middle of the fight or something like that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You can do that? You can fire a ref?
That's what I said. That shit was weird, bro. A motherfucker that take the food out of another man's mouth on nasty and then you embarrass the nigga on that. That shit crazy.
Man,
that's wild.
what's going on? But anyway, man, listen, y'all have a good night and a wonderful evening. Always a pleasure to be on Boss Hog. You understand? And Boss Hog, I put you on my dope channel alert, dude. I don't know if you know, but your name be flashing up there when I'm on. So shout out to you. All right, everybody.
Much respect, man. Much respect, man. Man, he every time he come on here, he unbiased, man.
Yeah, I can respect that. He ain't on the delusion shit. Talking about shit we didn't see or making shit up. So
you got anything too?
Oh no, I'm just waiting on the next topic.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end this mug, man. We didn't talk about what we need to talk about. We're gonna come back next Sunday. We're gonna come back in full effect. Y'all subscribe to 2 Cents Boxing, man. Subscribe to her channel. You know what I mean? She be dropping fire content, man. And I be seeing 2 Cents, man. I think I saw you on Greg Hackett channel the other day, like in the comment section. So y'all go to 2 Cents, man. Subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to me and Coach channel, Clutch Factory. And then subscribe to our other channel, Mind on Greatness, because our mind's still focused on greatness. Y'all have a blessed night. Remember, tough times don't last, good people do. We gone.